Let's talk about one of the most incredible and, let's be real, one of the most confusing times in a person's life, adolescence. You know that wild journey between the ages of 12 and 20? It's so much more than just a phase. It's the critical, super important bridge that connects childhood to adulthood. And today, we're going to break it all down from a clinical view to see what's really happening inside the teenage mind and body.
So here's our game plan. We're going to tackle this in 4 parts. First, we'll dive into the amazing and sometimes chaotic rewiring that's happening in the adolescent mind. Then, we'll look at the equally massive changes going on in their bodies. After that, we'll see how they start to navigate their expanding social world. And finally, we'll pull out the clinician's toolkit for how to best support them through it all.
All right, let's jump right in with what's going on upstairs. You have to imagine the adolescent brain is like a city undergoing a massive renovation project. The whole internal map is being redrawn. And at the very center of all that construction, there is one single powerful question that drives almost everything.
That's it right there. Who am I? This is the question that's humming underneath everything an adolescent thinks and does. It's the reason for the music they love, the friends they choose, even the risks they take. It's this deep, fundamental search for an identity. And lucky for us, some brilliant developmental theorists have left us a few maps to help understand this journey. So the legendary psychologist Erik Erikson, he called this stage identity versus role confusion. And a great way to think about it is that they're basically trying on a bunch of different identities, kind of like costumes. Are they the athlete, the artist, the brain? They're trying to figure out which one feels right. And if they can figure it out, they build this really solid sense of self. But if they struggle, they can end up feeling pretty lost, not really sure where they fit in the world. And while all that identity searching is happening, their brain is getting a massive software upgrade. Another giant, Jean Piaget, called this the formal operations stage. And honestly, this changes everything. All of a sudden, they can think abstractly. They can argue about hypotheticals, debate big philosophical ideas, and see the world in shades of gray instead of just black and white. This is why they start questioning everything, from family rules to the concept of fairness itself.
So you take that new brain power and that search for identity, and what does it actually look like in real life? Well, it looks a lot like the classic teenager. They're pulling away from their parents, trying to find their own independence. Their friends become the center of their universe. They're also figuring out their own moral compass and their sexual identity. And that new ability to think abstractly, well, sometimes it leads to that famous teenage sense of invincibility, that feeling that nothing bad can happen to them.
Okay, but the changes aren't just in their heads, right? The physical transformation during adolescence is just as intense. And for clinicians, it brings a whole new set of things to watch for. Clinically speaking, we always start with the basics, the vital signs. And you can see here the numbers are starting to look a lot more like an adult's. Their heart rate and breathing are slowing down from the faster pace of childhood. It's a really clear physical sign that their body is making that transition.
Let's zoom in on one of those numbers for a second, blood pressure. The target we're looking for is less than 120/80. It's a simple number, but it is so important. It tells us how their cardiovascular system is handling the incredible demands of all that rapid growth. It's a key indicator of their overall health. And all that growth, it takes a ton of fuel. During a growth spurt, an adolescent's body is like a furnace, just burning through calories. They need tons of calcium for bone growth, iron for muscle development, and protein for, well, pretty much everything. Of course, this is also the time when fast food and snacks can become their own food group, so guiding them toward healthy habits is absolutely critical.
And we can't forget about dental health. By this age, pretty much all their permanent teeth are in place. That makes regular checkups super important. We're on the lookout for cavities, of course, but also for things like malocclusion or alignment issues, which often pop up during these years of rapid growth.
Okay, so we've got the mind and we've got the body. Now let's look at what happens when they take this new sense of self out into the wider world. This part is all about social life, safety, and how we can help them navigate it all. So, what does a healthy social life look like for a teen? It's really all about engagement and exploration. Things like sports, school clubs, and social events are where they get to practice all their new social skills. But even quieter activities, like caring for a pet, getting lost in a good book, or exploring a career path, are all part of that same crucial journey of answering that big question, who am I? Now, with all this new freedom comes new risks. Injury prevention is a huge priority. And right at the top of that list is motor vehicle safety. This is when many are getting behind the wheel for the first time. So conversations about seatbelts, about not driving distracted, and about the dangers of impaired driving are completely non-negotiable. And right behind that comes prevention around substance use and other kinds of bodily harm.
When we talk about preventative healthcare for teens, it's really a two-pronged approach. On one side, you have health screenings. We're especially vigilant about screening for things like scoliosis, which is a curvature of the spine that can show up during big growth spurts. And on the other side, we have immunizations. This is the perfect time to make sure they're all caught up on any shots they might have missed earlier.
All right, let's get down to the brass tacks. For all the clinicians out there, this part is for you. We're going to talk about some of the real-world, practical skills needed to give the best possible care to adolescent patients. A comprehensive physical exam for a teen is incredibly thorough. As you can see, a full neurological assessment, including testing all the cranial nerves, is a key piece of the puzzle. We're also doing a deep dive into their musculoskeletal system, again, looking for things like scoliosis, and making sure all other body systems are developing as they should.
Now, something as simple as giving medication, the oral route is always what we prefer. But here's the secret sauce. You have to work with their growing need for autonomy. Giving them a simple choice, hey, do you want to take this in a cup or with a syringe, gives them a sense of control. It sounds small, but it makes a world of difference in getting their cooperation. And if an injection is unavoidable, these are the 3 standard go-to sites for an IM shot. You've got the vastus lateralis on the outer thigh, the ventral gluteal on the side of the hip, and of course the deltoid muscle in the upper arm. All are safe and appropriate for this age group. Finally, if an adolescent has to be hospitalized, our care has to be about more than just their physical health. You have to remember what's important to them: independence, privacy, and their friends. So the best care plans will always respect their privacy, involve them in the decision-making process, find ways to help them stay independent, and even try to facilitate contact with their peers.
So, after looking at the mind, the body, the social world, and the clinic, it all comes back to this one big question. How can we truly support them as they walk across this bridge to adulthood? Well, the science and the data, they give us the roadmap. But it's up to all of us, clinicians, parents, educators, to use that map to provide the kind of smart, respectful, and compassionate support that helps them not just get across that bridge, but to stride across it with confidence